Hey folks, so we are going to look at this full photo series now. A photographer named Joel Perez put together this photo series to talk about first impressions, and he called the series Judging America. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the picture that you saw and that you analyzed, and then we're going to look at that person's real identity as portrayed in a second photo. So your first photo was, if I can get the slide to change. Sorry about that. Your first photo was this guy, number 1, and Joel shows us that he is actually Jefferson Moon. So the idea is that this might be what people see when they see Jefferson. This might be the assumption, the stereotype, the single story they have, but Jefferson Moon here, this is what he actually looks like in the way that he normally acts and behaves. And then your second photo was this guy, and this is Edgar Gonzalez. He's a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, so this might be the assumption that folks have about Edgar based on what they initially see when they see him walking down the street, but this is sort of the true identity underneath those initial impressions. Here's your third person, and this is Sahar Shalim. She is a nurse in New York City. So again, this might be the assumption people make based on her religion, her race, her ethnicity, but then this is sort of who she really is fundamentally in her true identity. Here's your fourth person, and here's Jack Johnson, who is a pastor, and again, this might be the assumption people make based on the way that he looks or their first impression of him walking down the street. But this is who he truly is. Your third person, Sammy Lee, is really this Stanford graduate school student, not at all your sort of stereotypical Vietnamese nail salon employee. Next, number 6 is really Alex Huffman. He's a painter, very, very famous. And we can see how much that complicates this initial impression of him. Number 7 is this guy. So we have this iPhone app inventor, Joseph Messer, right? Might perceive him to be this sort of geeky, dorky guy, but really he's sort of a millionaire and has a much more complex identity than you might see on first impression. And then this guy. So this is an Iraq combat veteran, Jacob Williams. So he's a war veteran and definitely much more complicated than you might sort of assume based on this initial impression of what he looks like and how he approaches you. So the idea here is that people are considerably more complex than our first impressions of them often indicate. So now that you've seen this, go ahead and go to the next item in Schoology.